As humans, we communicate through speech. This has allowed us to unite and overcome any obstacle laid before us. We create. We destroy. We subdued this planet and exalted our species as the one unstoppable force upon the physical plane. This realization had filled our ancestors with too much confidence, and in their extreme arrogance, they sought to conquer more than just the physical realm. In defiance of all things spiritual, they built a foreboding tower as a display of our overwhelming might and a bridge to what we would claim next. By dominating the heavens, they would have declared themselves as the gods of this world. The one true God saw the pride these men viciously wielded and knew to humble us, lest we bring unsurmountable harsh judgment upon this earth. Rather than smite the men, the Almighty God chose instead to distort the second most powerful tool we have, the tongue, as a reminder that while we may claim the land, we could never close the gap with a deity. Our humility had led us to invest heavily on the primary and undoubtedly most important tool in the human arsenal, the mind. And so, we've developed alternate ways of communication. Those who cannot hear can see things, and those who cannot see can feel things. I don't speak the native language this project originated from, but the sights it presented to me spoke louder than a shout or a whisper, and 3 years ago, I was filled with an infatuation for this world and the creator behind it. This is IZON. I first learned about IZON 3 years ago when my brother gifted me these after he saw a video by Moonshine Animations. They're called Tsumugibako. They're little model kits that come in gashapon capsules. These are the Volume 1 figures. I have them in these colors, and my brother has the other colored variants. There are other figures that I don't own, but you can see they all share a unique style in their designs. These were all made by Yoshi, a freelance modeler and character designer. You may not recognize the man, but you most definitely recognize some of the things he's worked on. Nier Automata, Astral Chain, and Bayonetta 3 are all games that he's made some designs and models for. And they're all titles developed by Platinum Games, so I wonder if he's got a good relationship with the company. There are other companies and games he's worked on, and plenty of physical model designs as well. I'll link his portfolio and Twitter in the description of this video so you can check him out and see if there's any projects he's worked on that you might recognize. Back to the figures. Each of these sets comes with a sheet. They all share the same front. It has the names and Twitter handles of Yoshi and a few other people, but the backs all have different unique pieces of artwork depicting the world of Tsumugibako and IZON. This one you can see the room you discover in the beginning of the game. This one shows you the tree you're trying to reach. And this last one is never actually seen in the game, so I assume it's something we'll discover in the future. I love all the unique designs Yoshi has made, and there's so much I want to say, but we'll be stuck here all day if I spend the rest of this video discussing the art. So let's move on to the game itself. I noticed some reviews mention that the game doesn't run well. In my experience, I found it ran perfectly on my desktop. I do also have a Steam Deck, and I'm sure some people are wondering if it can run on here, and I'm glad to say it can, but you do need to change your in-game graphics settings for it to run properly. Even if you don't have a Steam Deck, these settings might help you if you're running the game on lower end hardware or run into any of the issues I ran into when playing it on here. By default, the game ran slower on the Steam Deck, and the cutscenes had lots of issues. Audio crackling, lagging, sometimes freezing, and the removal of subtitles And it froze. Oh, it's come back. And it froze again. Every time I say it freezes, it comes right back. Maybe I should just keep saying that. But here's what I did to fix these problems. Change the resolution to 640 by 400, turn the texture quality to low, disable motion blur. And then quit the game so that the settings will apply. If you don't quit, they're not going to apply. Don't change the FPS. I thought switching it to 60 FPS might help it out. It actually made it run slower. You don't want to do that. Some of the reviews said this game was locked at 30 FPS, so I don't know why there's an option to change it from 30 to 60 if 60 makes it run slower on here. That might just be a thing for higher end hardware. Regardless, you should just keep it at 30 just so there's no issues. Doing all this eliminated all my issues and brought back the subtitles for the cutscenes. I also checked out the ProtonDB page for this game and saw that there were no reports on there. And by the time you watch this video, there will be one report on there, and it'll be from me. After playing the game a bit on my Steam Deck, I went over to my desktop to record some footage and continue from where I left off. And that's when I realized the game doesn't support Steam Cloud saves. So whatever device you play on, your save data is going to remain on that device. Thankfully, I didn't get too far in the game, so starting over wasn't a problem for me. In fact, after finishing the game, I realized that cloud saves aren't really necessary for this game. I know, very weird thing for me to say, but I'll talk more about that in the later half of this next section. As you can see, the game has that mystical Tsumugibako art style in both the creatures and the environment. The music is beautiful and the story pairs great with this setting. You play as Kyojin, a giant who wields the power of destruction, and your goal is to protect Chibito, a traveler who harnesses the power of creation, as they both make their way through the Tower of Sealing, which acts as a bridge to the world called Hakoniwa. When Kyojin first awakes, he has no memory of who he is or knowledge of the world around him. Chibito knows about the world and its history, but isn't sure of who Kyojin is or why he was sealed away. As these two learn about each other, the player learns about the world around them. The gameplay, much like the creature designs, is also unique in its own way. Kyojin is invincible. Nothing can hurt him. He knows this and is filled with confidence and optimism, reassuring Chibito that he will keep her safe and overcome any obstacle. Chibito is fragile and defenseless. The orbs on the top left represent her health. Your job is to keep her alive. You can heal her by carrying her. This is how you'll spend most of the time traversing the landscape, which is nice because you don't need to worry about waiting for an NPC to follow you around, and it makes it easier to protect her. Even when you aren't carrying her, she does her best to stay close to you unless you press down on the D-pad. This commands her to stay where she's at until you press up on the D-pad to call her again. You'll be using this for some of the puzzle solving. Sometimes when games introduce NPC companions, they can be a little frustrating. They tend to do stupid things that cause problems for the player. But I never got frustrated with Chibito. She knows to stay close to me and to avoid danger, but she never got in my way, and she was always there when I wanted to carry her. She's cautious and perceptive of the world around her. The controls are simple. The right shoulder button swings your right arm and the left shoulder button swings your left arm. If you carry Chibito and press the button for the arm that's holding her, she will hop to your opposite hand. Your arms can also be swapped with different weapons, a sword on the right and a gun on the left. The sword swings slower, and I really only used it as a tool to break down these yellow walls that only the sword can break. The gun can overheat if you use it for too long, and aiming the gun was a bit finicky. It auto-locks onto targets, so in combat I only used it against flying enemies. Outside of combat, it's used for puzzle solving. You also have a shield that you can deploy at any time. It takes a limited amount of hits, but deactivating the shield after it builds up some damage will create a shockwave that damages and knocks back enemies. There's also a laser and synchronization mode you unlock later in the game. These use this blue meter that fills up when you kill monsters or break one of these blue plants. Being an indestructible weapon with a varied arsenal, I was afraid the game would be too easy, but as I went further in the game, it introduced new challenges. Some enemies will knock Chibito out of your hand. There's an armored variant of an enemy that is invincible to your punches and must be eliminated through other means. There's also a specific environment that will drain Chibito's health over time unless you carry her. The environment was introduced during a boss fight, and after beating this boss, I was excited to see what other kinds of threats the game would throw at me. And then the game ended. I beat the game in 2 hours. This is why I said cloud saves weren't necessary for this title. It felt like a demo for what's to come, which is weird to say considering there is a demo available for this game. The subtitle says first section, so I assume this is meant to serve as an introduction for a larger scale project, whether that be a big sequel or a series of smaller games. Truthfully speaking, I don't know what's down the pipeline. All I do know is this game was successfully crowdfunded in Japan, so a lot of people have shown interest in Yoshi and his team's work here, and I hope this game is just a foundation for what's to come. The music, the gameplay, the story, I love everything about this game. But its biggest flaw is just that it's too short and leaves you wanting more. I'm afraid some people might abuse the Steam refund policy, which states that refunds are granted within 14 days of purchase if the game has been played for less than 2 hours. It's a very good policy, don't get me wrong, I'm glad we have it, but it also has been abused in the past. Now is a good time to mention the price of this game is $12.99. However, they had an early bird sale where the price was $8.44. Me being stingy, I always tell people to wait for a sale. And while it's easy to say, look at what you can get for cheaper, you've got to keep in mind, this is a brand new release in the year of 2025. Of course, something like Mass Effect Legendary Edition will be half the price because the games in that collection are old. They're great games, I love them, but they're old. That's why they're cheaper. I don't blame you if you decide $13 is not worth 2 hours. On one hand, I'm glad I bought and played this game. By purchasing this product, I'm supporting Yoshi and the indie team in hopes that the world of IZON and Tsumugibako grows over time. But as I said before, the game did leave me wanting more. Linear start-to-finish games that debut at $60 usually take me about 20 hours to beat. So doing the math, $60 divided by 20 hours leaves me with $3 an hour. 3, 6, 9, 12. The game is $12.99, but we'll say close enough to the 4-hour mark. If this game took me 4 hours to beat, I would be a lot more comfortable with the $12.99 price tag. Now, if it ever goes on sale for half the retail price, I would say definitely buy it then. Sure, you'll get invested in the story and be left wanting more, but at least you'll only have paid $6.50 for that. The real question is whether or not it will ever go on sale at that price. The game is still brand new, so only time will tell. I really like the world, I really like the creature designs, and I want to see where the story goes. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and feel free to comment down below what you think of IZON, Tsumugibako, or maybe some of Yoshi's other works. Until we meet again, I hope you have a good day or a good night.